You do not need huge dumbbells to build bigger shoulders. That sounds wrong because gyms are full of heavy shoulder presses, but muscle growth and strength are not the same goal. Lighter weights can build serious shoulder size if you know what makes a set actually work. The first myth is the biggest one. If the weight is light, the muscle cannot grow. Research does not support that. A large review of 45 studies found that lower load and higher load training produced similar muscle growth overall. The heavy training did have a clear edge for maximum strength, but not for building muscle size. That difference matters. If your goal is to lift the heaviest possible weight, you need practice with heavy loads. But if your goal is rounder, wider shoulders, the muscle mainly needs enough hard work. A light dumbbell, resistance band, cable, or even another form of resistance can do that job if the set becomes challenging. The mistake is thinking light means easy. If you pick up a tiny weight, do 10 quick reps, and stop while you could still do 30 more, that set probably did very little for growth. With lighter resistance, you usually need more reps before the muscle is pushed hard enough. As the set goes on, the easy reps start to change. Your shoulder gets tired, the same weight feels heavier, and your body has to bring more muscle fibers into the job. That is why the final hard part of a light set matters so much. You do not need to reach total failure every time, but the set should finish close enough that doing many more clean reps would be difficult. Research on training close to failure supports this idea. Muscle growth tends to improve as sets finish closer to the point where another good rep would be very hard. But there is no proof that every set must end in complete failure. Going all the way to failure every time can also create extra fatigue without giving you some secret growth bonus. So use a simple rule. When you finish a set, ask yourself if you could easily do 10 more clean reps. If the answer is yes, the resistance is probably too easy or the set is too short. If you only have a few solid reps left, you are much closer to the kind of effort that can help muscle grow. Now we need to fix another common mistake. Your shoulder is not one single muscle that grows evenly from one exercise. The deltoid has a front part, a middle part, and a rear part. If you only press overhead, you are not giving all three parts the same kind of work. The front part of the shoulder already works hard during pressing. Light dumbbell shoulder presses, band presses, and other pressing movements can train it well. You do not need to turn every press into a strength contest. Use a load you can control, move through a comfortable range, and keep going until the set becomes hard while your form still looks good. But if your goal is the wide look people notice from the front, the middle part of the shoulder deserves direct work. This is where lateral raises become very useful. You raise your arms out to the sides with light resistance while keeping the movement controlled. And this is one place where the research is very clear. In a 2025 study, trained men and women performed lateral raises twice a week for 8 weeks. One arm used a dumbbell and the other used a cable. Both methods increased the thickness of the side deltoid, and neither method clearly beat the other. That is great news because it means you do not need one special machine. Dumbbells work, cables work, bands can also provide resistance. What matters is whether the side shoulder is being trained hard enough and whether you can keep making the exercise more challenging over time. This also kills the myth that shoulder training needs heavy lateral raises. The lateral raise is a small movement with a long lever. Even a weight that looks light can create a lot of challenge at the shoulder. Chasing a huge dumbbell often turns the exercise into a full body swing, where the legs, hips, and momentum start helping more than you want. Use a weight you can control. Raise the arms without throwing the body around. Lower the weight under control, and let the shoulder do the work. You do not need to move in slow motion. You just need enough control that momentum is not doing the whole job. The rear part of the shoulder is the piece many people forget. It helps move the upper arm backward and plays a role in many pulling movements. Reverse fly movements, rear delt cable work, and some rowing movements can train this area. If you only press and raise your arms to the sides, you are leaving part of the shoulder plan unfinished. So a simple shoulder plan does not need 12 exercises. It needs a few movements that cover the main jobs. You can use a pressing movement, a lateral raise movement, and a rear delt movement. The exact tool can change based on what you have at home or in the gym. Now comes the next myth. More exercises always mean more growth. They do not. What matters more is the amount of useful work you do across the week and whether you can recover from it. Research on training volume shows that doing more hard sets can help muscle growth, but the benefit gets smaller as volume climbs. There is no magic set number that every person must follow. A beginner may grow from a fairly small amount of work, while someone who has trained for years may need more. A practical starting point is to train the shoulders several times across the week instead of crushing them in one giant workout. You might do 2 or 3 hard sets of each main movement in a session, then repeat shoulder work later in the week when you have recovered. The exact number can change based on your experience, other pressing and pulling exercises, and how well you recover. Remember that chest presses already work the front delts, and many rows also involve the rear delts. That work still counts. If you add a huge amount of direct shoulder training on top of everything else, more is not always better. Now let us talk about reps, because this is where another gym myth refuses to die. 8 to 12 reps is not the only muscle building range. Research shows muscle can grow across a wide range of loads. With light weights, your set may last for 15, 20, or even more reps before it becomes truly hard. That does not mean you should chase 100 sloppy reps. Extremely light resistance can become uncomfortable and time-consuming before the muscle gets enough challenge. For most people, choose a light or moderate resistance that lets you get a useful number of clean reps, then makes the last part of the set genuinely difficult. Once that weight becomes easy, you need progression. This is the part people miss when they train light. Imagine you start lateral raises with a pair of small dumbbells and 12 clean reps feels hard. A month later, you can do 25 without much trouble. If you keep doing the same 12 easy reps forever, your body has little reason to keep adapting. You have several ways to progress. Add a few reps. Add a small amount of resistance. Add a set when you need more weekly work. Use a harder version of the exercise. Or improve the range and control so the target muscle has to do more of the job. You do not have to make a huge jump in weight. In fact, small jumps are often better for shoulder isolation work. The goal is not to impress the person next to you. The goal is to make the shoulder work a little harder over time. There is also no need for fancy tricks. Drop sets, forced reps, super slow reps, and complicated finishers can make a workout feel brutal, but they are not required for growth. Basic sets done with enough effort can work extremely well. Recovery matters too. Muscle is not built just because your shoulders burn during a workout. The training gives your body a reason to adapt. Then food and recovery help support that process. Protein is part of that. A large review of 49 studies found that extra protein during resistance training produced small extra gains in muscle mass and strength. In that analysis, benefits for fat-free mass appeared to level off around a total daily intake of about 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. That is a useful research target, not a rule that every person must hit exactly. Sleep, enough food, and time between hard sessions matter as well. If your shoulders are still very sore and your performance is falling, piling on more sets is not a shortcut to faster growth. And pain is different from normal muscle effort. A hard set can burn and feel tiring. Sharp pain in the shoulder joint is not something to fight through. Change the movement or stop. And if pain keeps coming back, get it checked. So if heavy weights have been stopping you from training your shoulders, remove that barrier. You do not need giant presses or reckless lateral raises. You need resistance that becomes challenging, hard sets with good control, work for the front, side, and rear delts, and a plan that slowly gets harder as you improve. Heavy weights are excellent for getting better at lifting heavy weights. They are not the only road to bigger muscles. Train the shoulders hard enough. Progress the work over time, recover, and even light weights can give your body a real reason to grow.